ahead of the budget presentation on July 23rd, it has been reported that Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman could be considering introducing tax relief measures, and this in a bid to stimulate consumption within the economy. Now, as expected, taxpayers are eagerly awaiting some potential reductions in tax rates and also perhaps an increase in that basic exemption limit. Now, possibilities could also include rationalizing that income tax slab for your yearly incomes ranging from 15 lakh to about 20 lakhs in the new tax regime. Furthermore, there are also reports that suggest that that current income exemption limit, which is at 3 lakh rupees, might be raised to 5 lakh rupees. Now, let's discuss all of this and what the Finance Minister could and may not do and what the implications of such moves are going to be. Joining me for this is Preeti Kulkarni from our personal finance team. Welcome, Preeti. Well, let's address that main question that's on everyone's mind, really. Will the Finance Minister go ahead and tinker with those different tax slabs that we have currently, and what are you getting to hear on ground?
Stacy, the Finance Minister left the income tax rates unchanged in the interim budget announced in February. But this time round, as you know, it's a full year budget. And yes, reports do suggest that when Nirmala Sitharaman reveals her Bahi Khata on July 23rd, individual taxpayers could indeed have something to cheer about.
Well, there is of course so many reports that are doing the round, and that current exemption limit that we are talking about, which is at 3 lakhs, we are getting to hear that maybe that could be increased to 5 lakhs in this July budget. But just in 2023 itself, we saw that increment happen, which was at 2.5. That was increased to 3 lakhs. And also that rebate limit, if I remember correctly, that was also increased from 5 lakh to 7 lakh rupees. So could you just simplify what these numbers actually mean for our viewers, and how will these individual taxpayers, how will they be impacted if such a move actually goes on to happen?
Right. So in June, Moneycontrol had reported that the government is considering increasing the basic exemption limit from rupees 3 lakh to rupees 5 lakh. Now, just to be clear, we are talking only about the new tax regime here. The Finance Minister had left tax slabs and rates under the old tax regime unchanged in budget 2023, and July 23 is unlikely to be any different. It has been quite clear for some time now that the government is looking past the old tax regime and wants taxpayers to switch to the new tax regime instead. And as you rightly pointed out, the basic exemption limit under the new regime was raised from rupees 2.5 lakh to rupees 3 lakh in 2023. And likewise, the rebate limit, that is the income limit eligible for tax rebate, was hiked from rupees 5 lakh to rupees 7 lakh under the new tax regime. So, in the case of rebate, as you know, only those who earn up to rupees 7 lakh will stand to benefit, as they'll have no tax liability. Now, of course, there is an expectation that this limit will be announced by rupees 50,000. Now, what happens in the case of basic exemption limit? When it is raised, taxpayers across tax slabs, that is even those in the highest tax brackets, will see reduction in tax outgo. That is how taxpayers will benefit from increase in rebate limit as well as the exemption limit.
Right. So both of these is something that has kept at least taxpayers eagerly awaiting an increase in that rebate limit as well as your basic exemption limit. So experts are also anticipating that the government may go on to increase that standard deduction limit from 50,000 rupees to another 1 lakh rupees, and this under the new tax regime. But for the benefit of our viewers, let me take you through what our current tax structure under the new tax regime looks like. Now, if your tax slab or your income comes under 3 lakh rupees, you do not pay any income tax. But for 3 lakhs to 6 lakh rupees, the income tax rate is at 5%. But you can, of course, take a rebate under Section 87A. Then for the income of 6 lakhs to 9 lakhs, the income tax rate is 10%. Here too, you can claim that rebate, that is for up to 7 lakh rupees if your income is under that. Then the next slab goes on from 9 lakhs to 12 lakh rupees, and this is taxed at about 15%. And for 12 to 15 lakhs, you are taxed at 20%. Anything above 15 lakhs gets taxed at 30%. And remember, beyond incomes of 50 lakh rupees, also a surcharge is what comes into play. So Preeti, what really will change if we do see any tinkering? What could we expect in the new tax regime if the finance minister actually wants to change and put more money in the hands of the middle class, at least of what we're hearing of?
So again, tax experts and individuals are hoping that the government will raise the standard deduction, which is a benefit extended to salaried individuals and pensioners from rupees 50,000 to rupees 1 lakh under the new regime given the rise in inflation. Now remember, this is a flat deduction that does not require any documentation proof. So hiking this limit can be easily implemented if the government intends to announce tax SOPs. And besides that, as we've discussed, the basic exemption limit is expected to go up from rupees 3 lakh to 5 lakh, benefiting income taxpayers across slabs.
Right. So across slabs, that basic deduction would actually apply to anyone, right from the highest slab to the, even the standard deduction. So that is something that we are anticipating. But one other demand that we are getting to hear of is raising that basic exemption for senior citizens specifically, and this could also be raised right up to 10 lakh at least, is what we are giving to hear on the street. And with this, there's also what they're asking is a hike, hiking their health premium deduction, which currently is at 50,000 rupees, and also not just on health insurance premiums, but also on medical expenses. So is that something that the finance minister could work around, and do you think we are likely to hear something on that front in the budget this time?
See, we could certainly see some announcements or tax SOPs for senior citizens. Now, tax experts feel that the basic exemption limit, at least for senior citizens, should go up to rupees 5 lakh or even rupees 10 lakh under the new tax regime. Now, besides providing financial relief, for a large number of senior citizens, this will also mean doing away with the need to file income tax returns, which is a tedious task full of paperwork. And that apart, the soaring healthcare inflation, especially post-COVID, means that the current Section 80D deduction limit, this is under the old tax regime, which is rupees 50,000 for senior citizens' health insurance premium, now seems inadequate. Besides, there is no reason why the tax rule should not permit tax deduction for both health insurance premiums paid and the routine medical expenses that senior citizens incur. At present, only those senior citizens who do not have a health insurance policy can claim deduction on medical expenses under Section 80D. This is despite the fact that regular health policies largely cover hospitalization, whereas senior citizens incur expenses on doctor's consultation, pharmacy bills, diagnostic tests on a regular basis. So, the finance minister under the old tax regime should at least consider allowing deductions on such medical expenses, irrespective of whether the senior citizen has a health cover in place or not.
Right. Well, it is interesting if that does happen, and like you were saying, it is a task that is quite tedious, especially for senior citizens to do. So this would definitely come as a relief, if at all. But Preeti, I know you've been saying time and again that the government wants to incentivize those that are subscribing to the new tax regime, and which is why we are unlikely to see them make money tweaks with the old tax regime and what it really holds. But if I have to play devil's advocate here, do you think that the finance minister could actually go ahead and hike those deduction limits that come under 80C? Just help our viewers understand what exactly gets included under Section 80C, and if the finance minister could then also think of introducing this within the new tax regime, even though that one doesn't have many deductions. Is this something that could be considered this time around?
So let's start with Section 80C tax benefits first. So simply put, if you invest in instruments such as equity-linked savings schemes, which are essentially tax-saver mutual funds, repay home loan principal, pay life insurance premium, contribute to public provident fund or national pension system and so on, you are eligible for deduction of up to rupees 1.5 lakh under Section 80C. In fact, even the EPF contributions or children's school tuition fee paid qualify for this deduction. Now, as to whether this limit of rupees 1.5 lakh will be raised, I would say it is highly unlikely. And it's also unlikely that Section 80C benefits will be introduced in the new tax regime. Because, this will mean paperwork to claim tax deductions, which will in a way defeat the purpose of introducing the new tax regime itself.
Right.
But, in the light of the recent electoral setback that the incumbent government has suffered, and also the upcoming state elections, some tax experts and also some industries like the insurance sector are hoping that the government would consider hiking the 80C limit from rupees 1.5 lakh to rupees 2 lakh or even rupees 3 lakh for that matter. But we'll have to wait until July 23rd to find out if the finance minister answers such individuals' hopes or leaves them disappointed.
Yes, of course, all eyes will be on Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman come July 23rd. But whether she will go ahead and put some more money in the hands of the middle class, they are, of course, keeping their fingers crossed, and they hope to see what the Finance Minister goes on to deliver. I think Preeti has pretty much laid out all the different scenarios of what may or may not happen if and when the Finance Minister goes on to take such steps. But till then, the taxpayers can firstly, as a reminder, go ahead and file for your IT returns before the 31st of July due date, and also come back right here to moneycontrol.com for all your other budget-related queries.